Hare Krishna, devotees. We'll begin with the prayers. Om Ajnanathimiraandhasya Jnananjanashlakaya Chakshuranmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishnapresthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Settle down. Then I can spend more time. Spend more time. I have spent no, at least I have been serious. So we are reading from the book The Path of Perfection by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Now he's in Boston. Everybody is able to see the screen?
Yes, Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Yes, yes, I know. Yes. And 10 years of more serious. Yes, because I'm show you that 2012. And that's where I started giving all the actions all the way. But I something 2013. 10 years ago. So 2016 and then. Yes, 2014, June 1st, 2014. Yes.
Yes.
5. यतो यतो निश्चलति मनश्चञ्चलमस्थिरं ततस्ततो नियम्यैतद् आत्मन्येव वशं नयेत्. From whatever and wherever the mind wanders due to its flickering and unsteady nature, we must certainly withdraw it and bring it back under the control of the self. This is the real yogic process. If you are trying to concentrate your mind on Krishna and the mind is diverted, wandering to some cinema or whatever, you should withdraw the mind, thinking, not there, please, here. This is yoga, not allowing the mind to wander from Krishna. Right? This problem we face every day, every moment in our life, especially in this age where we see that every moment you try to focus on something, there is a distraction, right? The social media, especially, right? So many things like YouTube, and there are many such social media which will pull you towards it and wouldn't allow you to go away, right? You will be able to focus fully in Instagram, fully in YouTube, yeah, in Twitter, right, Facebook, totally absorbed, right, which is not necessary. So these distractions we should try to overcome. Right? That is very much essential in spiritual life, right? So from whatever and wherever, yato yato nischalati, mind will chalati, chanchala, mind is chanchala, it will go. Yato yato nischalati, wherever and whatever the mind wanders due to its flickering and unsteady nature, manas, mind, which is chanchalam and astiram, tatastato niyamyaitad atmani eva vasham nayet. So one must try hard, put his efforts to withdraw it from wherever it is distracted and bring it back under the control of the self. So I should focus my mind on something where I want. My mind should not drag me to wherever it wants to go. This is mind control. Right. So wherever, whenever mind goes, you should tell the mind, don't go there. Come here, sit here. I want you to chant Hare Krishna. I don't want you to watch YouTube. I don't want you to waste your time in Instagram or Reels or whatever, whatnot. So many things, right? So Very intense training is required to keep the mind fixed on Krishna. Right? Not easy. Of course, though Bhakti Marga is very easy, process of Bhakti Yoga is very easy, but still to control the mind, it's not easy. Once the mind is controlled, Bhakti Yoga is very easy. That is why even 5,000 years back also Arjuna says that Krishna, this process of Dhyana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga is not meant for me because my mind is very chanchala. Right? Very intense training is required to keep the mind fixed on Krishna while sitting in one place. That is very hard work indeed. If one is not so practiced and tries to imitate this process, he will surely be confused. Instead, we always have to engage ourselves in Krishna consciousness, doubting everything we do to Krishna. Our usual activities should be so molded that they are rendered for Krishna's sake. Right? So, our day to day activities should be so molded that all our activities are rendered for Krishna's sake. All our activities are Krishna conscious activities. We should mold our life in that way. In this way, the mind will remain fixed on Krishna. As stated before, we should not try to sit down and stare at the tip of our nose. Because in Kali Yuga, it is very difficult to perform Ashtanga Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, sitting straight, concentrate on your nose with half closed eyes, maintaining brahmacharya, strict brahmacharya. All those things are very difficult in Kali Yuga. As stated before, we should not try to sit down and stare at the tip of the nose. At the present moment, attempts to engage in that type of yoga are artificial. Rather, why it is artificial? Because naturally the mind is so chanchala, so flickering that what to speak of controlling the mind for years together. You can't. People can't control their mind for not even what to control for hours together. They can't control even for minutes, not even few seconds. Right? The attention span, the focus span is reducing drastically. Right? People are not able to focus on one thing for a long time. Right? So then, even if the mind is okay, indeed, we always have to engage ourselves in Krishna consciousness, doubting everything we do to Krishna. Our usual our usual activities should be so molded that they are rendered for Krishna's sake. In this way, the mind will remain fixed on Krishna. As stated before, we should not try to sit down and stare at the tip of our nose. At the present moment, attempts to engage in that type of yoga are artificial. Rather, the recommended method is chanting loudly and hearing Hare Krishna. So, to control the mind, the recommended method is chanting loudly and hearing Hare Krishna. This is the recommended method in Kali Yuga. Then, even if the mind is diverted, it will be forced to concentrate on the sound vibration Krishna. It isn't necessary to withdraw the mind from everything. It will automatically be withdrawn because it will be concentrated on the sound vibration. If we hear an automobile pass, our attention is automatically diverted. Similarly, if we constantly chant Hare Krishna, our mind will automatically be fixed on Krishna, although we are accustomed to think of so many other things. Right? So that is why chanting loudly is very, very important in this process of Bhakti Yoga because it is the sound that distracts us, right? So if you produce by your own tongue a sound which is louder than what your mind is shouting, what outside people are shouting, what your mobile phone is shouting, then definitely it is possible to keep your attention on focused on Krishna, right? The nature of the mind is flickering and unsteady, but a self realized yogi has to control the mind, the mind should not control him. At the present moment, the mind is controlling us. That is why whoever is controlled by his mind is called as Godasa. Right? He is the servant of his mind and his senses. The mind is telling us, please, why not look at the beautiful girl? And so we look. It says, why not drink that nice liquor? And we say, yes. It says, why not smoke this cigarette? Yes, we say. Why not go to this restaurant for such palatable food? Why not do this? Why not do that? In this way, the mind is dictating and we are following. Material life means being controlled by the senses or the mind, which is the center of all the senses. Being controlled by the mind means being controlled by the senses because the senses are the mind's assistants. The mastermind dictates, go see that, and the eyes, following the dictation of the mind, look at the sense object. The mind tells us to go to a certain place, and the legs, under the mind's directions, carry us there. Thus, being under the direction of the mind means coming under the control of the senses. If we can control the mind, we will not be under the control of the senses. One who is under the control of the senses is known as Godasa. The word go means senses and dasa means servant. One who is master of the senses is called Goswami because Swami means master. Therefore, one who has the title Goswami is one who has mastered the senses, right? There are nowadays there are titles, right? Surnames as Goswami, but actually this is not actually the surname or the last name given to some family tradition or some family lineage. No, Goswami refers to that person who is controlling all his senses, all his senses and mind are in his control. That is a Goswami. As long as one is servant of the senses, he cannot be called as Goswami. He cannot be called as Goswami or Swami. Unless one masters the senses, his acceptance of the title Swami or Goswami is just a form of cheating. It was Rupa Goswami who thus defined the meaning of the word Goswami. Originally, Sanatana Goswami and Rupa Goswami were not Goswamis but were government ministers. It was only when they became disciples of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that they became Goswamis. So, Goswami is not a hereditary title, but a qualification. One becomes so qualified under the directions of a bona fide spiritual master. Only when one has attained perfection in sense control can he be called a Goswami and become a spiritual master in his turn. Unless one can master the senses, he will simply be a bogus spiritual master. Right? So the instructions are very clear. One cannot call himself as a Goswami unless he is able to control all his senses. That is was Rupa Goswami in his Upadeshamrita, a small, very small book for which Srila Prabhupada has given the commentary. Right? In that, it is called as Nectar of Instruction. The first verse, Rupa Goswami says, Vacho vegam manasah krodha vegam jibha vegam udaropastha vegam etan vegan yo vishaheta dhiraha sarvamapi mam prithvim sasishat. Right. Here there are different vegas or the urges of the body are mentioned. Right? Vacho vegam, the urge of the tongue. Vega means the force of the body. Right. Manasah krodha vegam, vacho vegam, the urge of the tongue, either to uh, taste something or to speak always. Right. Then manasaha. Vega of the mind, the force of the mind. Mind says, do this, do that. And just like few examples Srila Prabhupada gives. The mind says, go and watch a cinema, go and watch the beautiful girl, right? So this is Manasaha Vegam. Then Krodha Vegam, the Vega, the force of anger. Jivha Vegam, the tongue, to taste something very nice, always to taste the meat of the animals. Udara Upastha Vegam. Udara means the force of the belly. Upastha, the force of the genitals. Right? So these are one, two, three, four, five, six. Six Vegas, forces of the body. Right? So anybody who controls these urges, etan vegan yo vishaheta dhiraha. Dhira means a person who, in spite of having the object of senses in front of his senses, he will not get agitated. He is a dhira, means he controls his senses. Etan vegan yo vishaheta dhiraha. He, what he can do, sarvam apimam prithvim sashishat. He can make disciples all over the world. Right? So you see Srila Prabhupada in his life, we see he went all over the world 14 times, 14 times he traveled the globe, entire globe. And he made disciples all over the world, thousands of disciples. And even now he is making disciples. Right? So a sober person who can tolerate the urge to speak, the mind's demands, the actions of anger, the urges of the tongue, belly, and genitals is qualified to make disciples all over the world. In this verse, Rupa Goswami mentions six pushings, right? Pushings of the force or vegam. This pushing is a kind of impetus. For instance, when nature calls, we have to go to the toilet, right? We cannot check this urge. So this urge is called vegam, a kind of pushing. According to Rupa Goswami, there are six vegams. Vacho vegam is the urge to talk unnecessarily. Vacho vegam means it's an urge to talk unnecessarily, right? When we go in the outside world, people talk so much. They have so many, it is said in Bhagavatam, Nranam Santi Sahasrashaha, right? For people in general, they have thousands of topics to speak, right? So there is always urge to talk, urge to speak, right? So and most of that talk is unnecessary. That is a kind of pushing of the tongue. Then there is krodhavegam, the urge to become angry. When we are pushed to anger, we cannot check ourselves. When we are pushed to anger, we cannot check ourselves. And sometimes men become so angry that they commit murder. Similarly, the mind is pushing, dictating, you must go there at once, and we immediately go where we are told. The word jivha vegam refers to tongues being urged to taste palatable foods. Udara vegam refers to the urge of the belly. Although the belly is full, it still wants more food, right? And that is a kind of pushing of the belly. And when we yield to pushings of the tongue and the belly, the urges of the genitals become very strong, and then sex is required. If one does not control his mind or his tongue, how can he control his genitals? In this way, there are so many pushings, so much so that the body is a kind of pushing machine. Rupa Goswami therefore tells us that one can become a spiritual master only when he can control all these urges. Etan vegan yo vishaheta dhiraha sarvamapi mam prithvim sashishyat. One who can control the pushings and remain steady can make disciples all over the world. The word dhira means steady, sober. Only one who is a dhira is qualified to make disciples. This all depends on one's training. Indeed, yoga means training the mind and the senses to be fixed on the self. Yoga means we have to train our mind to fix in oneself. This is not possible by meditating only 15 minutes a day and then going out and doing whatever the senses dictate, right? It's not a process like that, that 15 minutes you do something and your mind is focused. No, it's a process of life. It's a lifetime process. So our life should be molded in that way. Then only it is possible. If only 15 minutes I do something and then whole day all other nonsense, then yes, your mind will never be focused. How can the problems of life be solved so cheaply? If we want if we want something precious, we have to pay for it. By the grace of Lord Chaitanya, this payment has been made very easy. Just chant Hare Krishna, right? By our chanting, this system of control, this yoga system becomes perfected. The Iha haite sarva siddhi haibe tomar. By this process, Iha haite sarva siddhi hoibe tomar. All perfection will be attained by just chanting Hare Krishna. Thus, Lord Chaitanya has blessed us. Simply by chanting Hare Krishna, we will achieve perfection of self realization. In this age of Kali, when people are so fallen, other processes will not be successful. This is the only process. It is so sublime, so easy, effective, and practical. By it, one can realize oneself. According to Krishna in the ninth chapter of Bhagavad Gita, this process is the most sublime process. Rajavidya Rajadiham Pavitram Idamuttamam Pratyaksha Vagamam Dharmyam Susukham Kartum Avyayam. This knowledge, the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, is the king of education, the most secret of all secrets. Raja Vidya, king of education. Raja Guhyam means the secret, the most confidential knowledge, right? Then Pavitram, it is purest knowledge. Idam Uttamam, it is the ultimate knowledge. And because it gives direct perception of the self by realization, Pratyaksha Avagamam Dharmyam, it is the perfection of religion. And it is Susukham Kartum Avyayam. It is Avyayam, it is everlasting. The result of this practice is everlasting. It will not end, it will not cease. It is everlasting and it is joyfully performed, right? See, for bhakti, we feel it is sometimes we feel it is troublesome. But no, bhakti is all the activities of bhakti, whether it is chanting or kirtan or reading Bhagavad Gita, reading other shastras, right? Doing practical devotional service at the temple, waking up in the morning, all this is actually, all these things should happen susukham, happily. All these things should happen, but somehow we are so influenced by the age of Kali that we feel these activities to be burden, right? So after eating, a man can understand that his hunger has been satisfied, right? A person who is hungry, you give him food. Once he eats sufficient quantity of the food, he understands that his hunger is satisfied. Similarly, by following the principles of Krishna consciousness, one can understand that he has advanced in self realization, right? So one can one need not give a certificate to anyone who is performing bhakti, performing devotional service, that yes, you are now qualified or you have attained self-realization. No, any person who, according to the guidance of the spiritual master, performs devotional service, he will definitely get the realization. Right? Path of perfection. Okay, here it ends the fifth chapter of this book. So now we progress to the chapter number 6, perception of the supersoul. Prashantamanasam hyenam Yoginam sukhamuttamam upaiti shantarajasam brahmabhutam akalmasham. The yogi whose mind is fixed on me, right, verily attains the highest happiness. By virtue of his identity with Brahman, he is liberated. His mind is peaceful. His passions are quieted, and he is free from sin. Right? Prashanta Manasam, he becomes peaceful. Yoginam Sukhamuttamam, he attains the highest pleasure. Upaiti Shanta Rajasam, all his the forces which are coming out of the Rajoguna will become, quieted. In Brahma Bhutam Akalmasham, he experiences Brahman. He becomes liberated. Akalmasham, Kalmasha refers to contamination. Akalmasha means he becomes free from all contamination. Hence, he becomes free from all the sin. Yunjannevam sadatmanam yogi vigata kalmashaha sukhena brahma samsparshan atyantam sukhamashnute. Yunjannevam sadatmanam yogi vigata kalmasha. By engagement in devotional service like this, free from all kalmashas, sukhena brahma samsparsham, one touches the Brahman. Steady in the self, being freed from all material contamination, the yogi achieves the highest perfectional stage of happiness in touch with the supreme consciousness. So here is the perfection. The yogi whose mind is fixed on me. Since Krishna is speaking, the me refers to Krishna. If I am speaking and saying, give me a glass of water, I do not intend that the water be supplied to someone else. Right? It is obvious. If I go to you, come to you and ask, give me a glass of water, you will give a glass of water to me. You will not think that he is asking that let me give to someone else. No. Right? So same way, when Krishna says the yogi, his mind is fixed on me, means it's on Krishna, right? Because there are so many foolish commentators who comment on Bhagavad Gita saying that when Krishna says it's on me, they comment that they speculate that it is actually not to Krishna but to somebody who is inside Krishna. Okay, foolishly they don't understand that for Krishna there is no inside and outside, right? For us, the mudhas, the fallen living entities, for us it is there is inside and outside. For Krishna, there is no difference between his body and the soul. For us, there is difference. We are Atma who reside in this body for some time, and after that time is over, we go out of the body. So there is difference. I am different from this body, but for Krishna, it is not. That is why he is God. That is why he is Supreme Lord. Right? So I do not intend that water to be supplied to someone else. We must therefore clearly understand that since Bhagavad Gita is being spoken by Krishna, when he says unto me, he means unto Krishna. Unfortunately, there are many commentators who deviate from these clear instructions. I do not know why. Their motives are no doubt nefarious. सर्वभूतस्थमात्मानं सर्वभूतानि च चात्मनि ईक्षते योगयुक्तात्मा सर्वत्र समदर्शनः. A true yogi observes me in all beings. Sarvabhutastam Atmanam. A true yogi, he sees me in all the jivas, in all beings. Sarva Bhutani cha Atmani, and also sees every being in me. Right? Very beautiful statement Krishna makes. A true yogi, he sees me in everyone, every jiva, every being, and he sees every beings in me. Right? Ikshate yoga yuktatma. Indeed, the self-realized man sees me everywhere. So, such a yogi who is a true yogi, ikshate means seeing, yoga yuktatma, one who is performing real yoga, sarvatra samadarshanaha, he sees me everywhere. Right? A true yogi, he sees Krishna everywhere. in the beings, in the non-beings, in the dull matter, in every atom, in every action, in every situation. A true yogi, a true Krishna conscious devotee sees Krishna. A true yogi observes me in all beings. Sarva bhutastham atmanam. How is this possible? Some people say that all beings are Krishna, and that therefore there is no point in worshipping Krishna separately. Right? There are people like this. They say everybody is Narayana. Right? Consequently, such people take to humanitarian activities, claiming that such work is better because they see everybody is Narayana, right? So they say, why should Krishna be worshipped? Krishna says that one should see Krishna in every being. Therefore, let us serve the Ridra Narayana, the man in the street, right? Such misinterpreted interpreters do not know the proper techniques which have to be learned under a bona fide spiritual master. A true yogi, as explained before, is the devotee of Krishna, and the most advanced devotee goes forth to preach Krishna consciousness. Why? Because he sees Krishna in all beings. How is this? Because he sees that all beings are part and parcel of Krishna. Seeing Krishna in all being doesn't mean that being, that person becomes Krishna. He sees that person as part and parcel of Krishna. How is this? Because he sees that all beings are part and parcel of Krishna. He also understands that since these beings have forgotten Krishna, it is his duty to awaken them to Krishna consciousness. Sometimes missionaries go forth to educate primitive, uneducated people just because they see that they are human beings and so deserve to be educated in order to understand the value of life. This is due to the missionary's sympathy. The devotee is similarly motivated. He understands that everyone should know himself to be part and parcel of Krishna. The devotee understands that people are suffering due to their forgetfulness of Krishna. So, for today, here we will wind up. Thank you all for joining. We'll continue this reading session in our next class. Thank you all. Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna,
Thank
Prabhuji.
you,
Thank you so
Prabhuji.
much.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu.